Hi, dear friend. You've found a quiet place to rest and dream. Tonight, we'll drift through the ancient memory written in every atom of your being. Let yourself settle now. There's nowhere else you need to be. The day has ended, and all that remains is this moment, this quiet space between waking and sleep, where the universe whispers its oldest secrets. You don't need to chase anything anymore. You don't need to solve or fix or understand completely. All you need to do is breathe and listen, and let the story carry you gently into rest. I want you to know something beautiful before we begin, something that might change the way you see yourself, even as your eyes grow heavy. You are not separate from the stars. You are not apart from the cosmos. You are made of it, literally, physically, atomically, made of stardust that has traveled billions of years to become you. And tonight, as you rest, we'll explore that journey together. So breathe in slowly, hold it gently, and release. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your body remember that it knows how to rest, because rest is written into the very fabric of existence. Even atoms rest. Even stars in their way find stillness. And now let's begin. I float here in the silence, suspended between Earth and everything else. The viewport beside me frames a view that never stops taking my breath away. A sweep of stars so dense they blur into rivers of light, galaxies spinning in the deep dark. And below, curved and beautiful, the blue marble of home. But tonight, I'm not thinking about the distance. I'm thinking about connection. I'm thinking about how every atom in my body, every piece of me that feels solid and real, was once part of something unimaginably vast and violent and beautiful. The oxygen I breathe right now, carefully recycled through the life support systems of this small vessel, it wasn't always here. It wasn't always gentle. Billions of years ago, that oxygen was forged in the core of a dying star, crushed under pressures we can barely comprehend, heated to temperatures that would vaporize worlds. And then, in a moment of catastrophic grace, that star exploded. It scattered itself across light years of space, seeding the universe with the building blocks of everything that would come after, including me, including you. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon that forms the backbone of every molecule in your body, none of it was born on Earth. It came from the stars. You are quite literally made of ancient starlight, assembled over eons into this temporary, beautiful form that breathes and thinks and dreams. As you rest now, let that thought settle softly over you. You are stardust. You are the universe experiencing itself. And there's something profound in that, something that connects you to everything that has ever been and everything that will ever be. I press my hand against the cold glass of the viewport, and I think about the atoms in my palm. Some of them, perhaps, were once part of a massive star that burned bright in a galaxy far from here, long before our sun even existed. They remember that heat in their way. They carry the signature of fusion, the echo of stellar winds, the memory of violent beauty. Other atoms in my body might have drifted for millions of years in cold molecular clouds, those vast, dark nurseries where stars are born. They floated in silence, untouched by light, waiting, just waiting. And then, slowly, gravity pulled them together. Hydrogen bonded with hydrogen, and the cloud began to collapse, heating as it shrank, until finally, ignition. A new star flared to life, And my atoms were there, watching from the swirling disk of dust and gas that would eventually become planets. Your atoms have stories too, impossible, ancient stories. And though they don't speak in words, they remember. They remember the places they've been, the processes they've endured, the transformations they've undergone. Every atom in your body has existed for nearly 14 billion years, cycling through stars and nebula and planets, through oceans and mountains and living things, until finally, for this brief moment, they came together to form you. You don't need to stay awake for this. The story will keep flowing, gentle and endless as the cosmos itself. If your mind drifts, let it drift. If sleep begins to pull at you, let it come. There is no wrong way to rest here. I think about the hydrogen in my body, the simplest, most abundant element in the universe. Most of it dates back to the Big Bang itself, forged in the first 3 minutes of existence when the universe was nothing but a hot, dense soup of energy and matter. In those early moments, protons and neutrons came together to form the first hydrogen nuclei, and those nuclei have been around ever since, unchanged, witnessing everything. Some of the hydrogen atoms in your body are nearly as old as time itself. They've seen the universe expand from a point smaller than an atom to the incomprehensible vastness it is now. They were there when the first stars ignited, when the first galaxies formed, when the Milky Way began its slow spiral dance. They are 14 billion years old, and they remember. What does it mean for an atom to remember? Not consciously, of course. Not the way you remember a childhood summer or the taste of something sweet. But atoms carry information. Their isotopes tell us where they were formed. Their electron configurations tell us what they've bonded with. The very fact that they exist, stable and persistent, is a kind of memory, a record of every process they've survived. The carbon in your body, for instance, most of it was made inside red giant stars through a process called the triple alpha reaction. 3 helium nuclei fused together under immense heat and pressure to form a single carbon nucleus. It's a delicate process, finely tuned. If the laws of physics were even slightly different, carbon wouldn't form, and life as we know it wouldn't exist. But the universe is balanced just right, and so carbon exists, abundant and essential, the foundation of biological complexity. Your carbon atoms remember the cores of those red giants. They remember the slow burn of helium fusion, the gradual buildup of heavier elements. They remember the moment when the star's fuel ran out, and it began to shed its outer layers, gently releasing them into space in a beautiful planetary nebula, a glowing cloud of gas and dust, backlit by the dying ember of the star's core. And then your carbon atoms drifted. For millions of years, perhaps longer, they drifted through interstellar space, carried by stellar winds and radiation pressure, until they found themselves in a new molecular cloud, the one that would eventually collapse to form our solar system. Let your thoughts drift like those atoms. Let them float, aimless and gentle, through the vast dark. There's no hurry, there's no destination, just the slow, peaceful movement of existence unfolding. I look at my hands again, turning them slowly in the dim light of the candle. These hands have written reports, operated equipment, held tools, touched the people I loved. But before they were hands, they were dust. Before they were dust, they were gas. Before they were gas, they were plasma. And before that, they were part of the primordial universe, the raw material of everything. The nitrogen and the amino acids that make up my proteins, the phosphorus in my DNA, the sulfur in some of my enzymes, all of it came from stars. Massive stars, the kind that live fast and die young in spectacular supernova explosions. These stars burn through their fuel quickly, fusing hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen, and on up the periodic table, building heavier and heavier elements in their cores. When such a star finally exhausts its fuel, it collapses catastrophically. The core implodes and then rebounds in a shock wave that tears the star apart. For a brief moment, that dying star shines brighter than an entire galaxy, releasing more energy in a few seconds than our sun will emit in its entire 10 billion year lifetime. And in that moment of ultimate destruction, the heaviest elements are formed: gold, platinum, uranium, and scattered into space. Your body contains trace amounts of those elements. You carry within you the remnants of stellar explosions that happened long before Earth existed. You are made of catastrophe and creation, of violence and beauty, of endings and beginnings. And yet, here you are, resting quietly, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of your body against the surface beneath you. The universe, in miniature, returned to stillness. If sleep is calling to you now, don't resist. Let it come. The atoms in your body know how to rest. They've been doing it for billions of years, cycling between activity and stillness, bound and unbound, moving and resting. Out here, floating above the earth, I feel that cycle deeply. There's a rhythm to existence that you notice when you step outside the noise of daily life. A pulse, slow and steady, like the heartbeat of the cosmos itself. Stars are born and die. Galaxies collide and merge. Atoms come together and drift apart. And through it all, there's a kind of memory, a persistence of form and pattern that transcends any individual moment. The water in my body, for instance, tells its own story. Hydrogen and oxygen bonded together in that simple, essential molecule. The hydrogen, as I said, dates back to the Big Bang, but the oxygen is younger. It came from stars fused in their cores through the CNO cycle, or the later stages of stellar evolution. And when those stars died, they released their oxygen into space, where it eventually bonded with hydrogen to form water. Some of the water molecules in your body might have once been part of a comet, frozen for billions of years in the outer solar system. Others might have existed in Earth's ancient oceans, cycling through the planet's hydrosphere for eons, falling as rain, flowing in rivers, evaporating into clouds, only to fall again. Water is ancient and endlessly recycled. The same molecules that quenched the thirst of dinosaurs might now flow through your veins. The same molecules that filled prehistoric seas now fill you. Water remembers. Not consciously, but molecularly. Its structure responds to temperature, to pressure, to the presence of other molecules. It shapes itself around life, enabling the complex chemistry that makes existence possible. Without water's unique properties, its ability to dissolve substances, to moderate temperature, to expand when it freezes, life as we know it couldn't exist. And so, your body, mostly water, is also mostly memory. Memory of ancient oceans and distant stars, of comets and clouds, of every living thing that came before you. Let that thought be a comfort as you rest. You are not alone. You are connected to everything that has ever been through the very atoms that compose you. You are part of an unbroken chain of existence that stretches back to the beginning of time. I often wonder what it would be like if atoms could speak. What stories would they tell? A single atom of calcium in my bones might say, I was forged in the heart of a red giant star 12 billion years ago. I drifted through space for millions of years, alone in the dark, until I was pulled into the swirling disk of gas and dust that became your solar system. I settled onto the young Earth, was drawn into its mantle, erupted from a volcano, dissolved in seawater, absorbed by a tiny organism, passed up the food chain, and eventually became part of you. I've been waiting all this time to be here. Now, every atom has a journey like that, every single one. The magnesium and the chlorophyll of the plants you ate, which allows them to capture the sodium and potassium that carry signals along your nerves, allowing you to think and feel. The zinc that helps your cells divide, the copper that carries oxygen, the iodine in your thyroid, each one a traveler from deep time, carrying the memory of stars. You don't need to understand it all. You don't need to remember every detail. Just let the knowing wash over you. The knowing that you are ancient, that you are cosmic, that you are made of the same stuff as stars and planets. Let that knowledge be a gentle weight, pressing you softly into rest. Outside my window, the Milky Way stretches across the black. From here, I can see it in a way that's impossible from Earth's surface, a thick band of light dense with stars, dust, and gas. Our galaxy is home to hundreds of billions of stars, and around those stars orbit countless planets, moons, asteroids, comets, and on at least one of those planets, the blue one turning slowly beneath me, life has emerged. Life is rare as far as we know, or at least complex life seems to be. The conditions have to be just right. The right kind of star, the right distance from that star, the right kind of planet with the right atmosphere and the right chemistry. And even then, it takes billions of years for single-celled organisms to evolve into something that can look up at the stars and wonder. But here's the beautiful thing. The atoms that make life possible are everywhere. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, they're abundant in the universe, forged in stars and scattered through space. The building blocks are universal. What's special isn't the ingredients, it's the recipe. It's the specific conditions that allow those ingredients to come together in just the right way to form something that can grow, reproduce, adapt, and eventually think. You are that recipe, perfected over billions of years. You are the universe's way of knowing itself, of experiencing beauty and love and wonder. And the atoms that compose you have been waiting all this time to be part of something so extraordinary. If your mind is wandering now, that's perfectly fine. Let it wander like atoms through space, aimless, peaceful, free. There's no need to hold on to anything. Just let the words flow over you like starlight, gentle and endless. I think about the atoms in my brain, the ones that allow me to think these thoughts. The neurons firing, electrochemical signals racing along axons, neurotransmitters crossing synapses. All of it is chemistry, and all of chemistry is atoms interacting. The thoughts I'm thinking right now are literally the movement of atoms that were once in stars. Consciousness is perhaps the strangest thing the universe has produced. How does matter become aware of itself? How do atoms, which are not alive, come together in such a way that they can ponder their own existence? It's a mystery we're still unraveling, but the basic fact remains. You are atoms, arranged in a specific pattern, complex enough to be conscious, and those atoms remember in their way. Your memories are encoded in the structure of your brain, in the synaptic connections between neurons, in the molecules that strengthen or weaken those connections. When you remember something, atoms are changing configuration, electrons are moving, chemical bonds are forming or breaking. Memory is physical. It's written into the matter of your body. So when I say the atoms remember, I mean it in multiple ways. They carry the history of where they've been, written in their isotopes and their structure. And in the case of your brain, they literally store your memories, your experiences, your learning, your sense of self. You are a walking, breathing memory of the universe. You are 14 billion years of history compressed into this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. Let your breathing slow now. In and out, gentle and easy. Feel the weight of your body, the way gravity holds you. Even here in the microgravity of orbit, I feel a kind of holding, a knowledge that the universe supports me, that I'm not falling, but floating, suspended in the careful balance of forces that govern everything. You are held too. By gravity, by the planet beneath you, by the atoms that compose you, and refuse to let go of each other. You are held by the strong nuclear force that binds protons and neutrons together in atomic nuclei. You are held by the electromagnetic force that keeps electrons orbiting those nuclei, that allows atoms to bond and form molecules. You are held by forces that have existed since the beginning of time, forces that will continue long after you're gone. And when you do eventually return your atoms to the universe, as we all will, they won't disappear. They'll simply change form. They'll be released back into the cycle to drift and bond and become part of something new. Perhaps some of your atoms will become part of a tree, drinking sunlight and carbon dioxide, exhaling oxygen. Perhaps some will dissolve in the ocean, swirling in currents, supporting microscopic life. Perhaps some will be drawn into a new generation of stars if this planet survives long enough, if the solar system's matter is eventually recaptured by the galaxy's slow churn. Your atoms are immortal. They've existed since the dawn of time, and they will exist until the end, whatever that end may be. You are borrowing them for a while, arranging them into this particular pattern called you, but they are far older than you and will outlast you by eons. There's something comforting in that, I think, something that makes death less frightening and life more precious. We are temporary patterns in eternal matter. We are the universe's way of experiencing itself briefly, beautifully, before the pattern dissolves and the atoms move on. But while we're here, while the pattern holds, we get to marvel. We get to look up at the stars and realize we came from them. We get to love and learn and wonder. We get to rest, as you're resting now, and feel the deep peace of knowing we belong here, that we're made of the same stuff as everything else. The universe is not something separate from you. You are not a visitor here, not a stranger in a strange land. You are the universe, localized, given form and consciousness. You are stardust that has learned to look back at the stars. If sleep is near, welcome it. Let it take you gently. The atoms in your body know how to rest, how to release, how to simply be without effort or strain. They've been doing it for billions of years. I float here in the quiet and I think about home. Not just Earth, beautiful as it is, but the larger home, the cosmos itself. This is where I come from. This is where you come from. We are children of the stars, born from their death and their light, carrying their legacy in every atom of our being. The calcium in my bones was made in a supernova explosion so powerful it briefly outshone an entire galaxy. The iron in my blood was forged in the collapsing core of a massive star. The golden trace, a mounts throughout my body, formed in the collision of two neutron stars, an event so violent it created gravitational waves that rippled through space-time itself. I am made of violence. So are you. We are born from the most extreme processes in the universe, and yet here we are, gentle and fragile, capable of kindness and love and wonder. There is a concept in physics called nucleosynthesis, the process by which new atomic nuclei are created. It happened in the Big Bang, creating hydrogen and helium. It happens in the cores of stars, creating heavier elements. It happens in supernovae and neutron star collisions, creating the heaviest element. Every atom in your body is the product of nucleosynthesis, of matter being transformed under extreme conditions into something new. You are the product of cosmic alchemy. You are base matter transformed into something that can think and feel and dream. The universe spent billions of years perfecting the process, building stars and destroying them, scattering elements through space, allowing them to coalesce into planets and oceans, and, eventually, life. And now you exist. Not by accident, but because the laws of physics, the constants of nature, the structure of space-time itself, all conspired to make you possible. You are unlikely and inevitable, rare and universal, unique and connected to everything. Let your eyes close if they haven't already. Let the darkness behind your eyelids become the darkness of space, vast, peaceful, full of potential. You are floating now, just like me, suspended in the gentle embrace of the universe. The atoms in your body are vibrating with energy, even at rest. They're always moving, always dancing, even when you're perfectly still. That's the nature of matter at the quantum level. It never truly stops. Electrons orbit their nuclei at incredible speeds. Particles pop in and out of existence. Fields fluctuate and shimmer. At the smallest scales, the universe is in constant chaotic motion. But somehow, all that chaos averages out to the calm, solid reality you experience. Your body feels stable and whole, even though it's made of particles that are mostly empty space, held together by forces you can't see. You are a pattern of energy, a standing wave in the quantum field, a temporary arrangement of vibrating strings, or whatever the fundamental nature of reality turns out to be. Science is still unraveling that mystery. We know a lot about atoms, about how they behave and interact, but there's still so much we don't know. What is dark matter made of? What is dark energy? What happened before the Big Bang, if any? What lies beyond the observable universe? The atoms in your body don't hold those answers, but they hold other answers, older ones. They tell us where we came from. They tell us that we are connected to the stars, that we are part of a cosmic story, billions of years in the making. And that story continues. Even now, new stars are being born in nebulae throughout the galaxy. Even now, old stars are dying and scattering their atoms into space. The cycle continues, endless and beautiful, and we are part of it. You don't need to do anything with this knowledge. You don't need to change or improve or strive. Just rest in the knowing. Just let it be a comfort, a gentle truth that holds you as you drift towards sleep. I think about the people I love back on Earth. The atoms in their bodies came from the same sources as mine. We are all made of the same stellar material, recycled and rearranged. In a very literal sense, we are family, not just with each other, but with every living thing on Earth, with the planet itself, with the stars above. The oxygen you're breathing right now, released by plants through photosynthesis, is part of this ancient cycle. Plants take in carbon dioxide and water, use sunlight to break those molecules apart, and reassemble them into glucose and oxygen. The oxygen they release is what you breathe, and the carbon dioxide you exhale is what they take in. It's a partnership, a symbiosis, enabled by atoms cycling between different forms. Those oxygen atoms have been breathed by countless living things before you, by ancient humans and prehistoric animals, by dinosaurs and trilobites, by the first oxygen-producing cyanobacteria billions of years ago. You share breath with all of them, connected through atoms that remember. Let that breath be slow and easy now. Let it come and go without effort. The way waves lap at a shore, the way starlight falls through space, inevitable, gentle, natural. I look out at Earth and I see a planet transformed by life. The atmosphere wasn't always oxygen-rich. It was the great oxygenation event caused by photosynthetic organisms that changed everything. Life reshaped the entire planet, atom by atom, breath by breath. And now that oxygen-rich atmosphere sustains us, allows us to exist, allows us to burn the fuel that powers our cells and our minds. We are part of that ongoing transformation. Every breath we take, every action we perform, moves atoms around, changes their configuration, participates in the endless dance of matter and energy. You are not static. You are a process, a flow, a pattern that persists through change. The atoms in your body are constantly being replaced. Every few years, almost every atom in your body is different than it was before. You eat food, drink water, breathe air, and those new atoms become part of you, while old atoms are released back into the world. You are like a river. The water flowing through changes constantly, but the river remains. You are like a flame. The fuel is always being consumed and replaced, but the flame persists. You are a pattern of atoms, but the specific atoms change. What remains is the pattern, the organization, the information that makes you you. And that pattern, too, is a kind of memory. Your DNA remembers how to build you, encoded in sequences of atoms arranged into molecules. Your cells remember their function, their place in the larger pattern. Your brain remembers your experiences, your learning, your sense of self. You are memory upon memory upon memory, patterns within patterns, atoms that remember arranged into a structure that remembers. But tonight, you can forget. You can let go of the memories that weigh on you, the thoughts that chase themselves in circles, the worries about tomorrow. Tonight, you can simply be atoms, resting, vibrating gently in the dark, held together by forces older than time. The universe doesn't ask you to understand it all. It doesn't require your effort or your vigilance. It simply invites you to exist, to be part of the pattern, to rest when you need to rest. So rest now. Let the atoms in your body settle into stillness. Let your mind quiet like a nebula between star formations, dark, peaceful, full of potential, but not yet. Out here, in the silence of space, I feel closer to the truth of what we are. Stripped of the noise and distraction of daily life, floating in the void, it's easier to see clearly. We are not separate from nature. We are nature. We are not observers of the universe. We are the universe observing itself. Every atom in your body is a piece of the cosmos, borrowed for a time, arranged into this miraculous pattern called you. And when you look up at the stars, you are looking at your ancestors, your origins, your home. The light from those stars has traveled years, decades, centuries, millennia to reach your eyes. Some of the stars you see are already dead, their light only now arriving. When you look at the night sky, you are looking back in time, seeing the universe as it was, not as it is. But the atoms in your body are present. They are here, now, in this moment. They've traveled so far, through so much, to be here with you as you. They've survived the death of stars, the cold of interstellar space, the heat of planetary formation, the chaos of geological processes, the complexity of biological evolution. They've been waiting, in a sense, for this moment, not consciously, but inevitably. The universe is unfolding according to laws we're still learning to understand, and you are part of that unfolding. There's a concept in Buddhism called interbeing, the idea that nothing exists independently, that everything is connected to everything else. Science confirms this in its own way. You cannot separate yourself from the world around you, from the atoms you exchange with it constantly, from the light and air and water that sustain you. You are not a thing. You are a happening. You are not a noun. You are a verb. You are not static. You are process. And right now, the process you are is moving toward sleep, toward rest, toward the stillness that allows atoms to simply be. Let them be. Let yourself be. There's nothing you need to prove, nothing you need to accomplish. The atoms in your body have already accomplished the impossible. They've come together across billions of years and light years of space to form you, and that is enough. I think about my childhood looking up at the stars from Earth's surface, wondering what was out there. I never imagined I'd end up here, floating among them, living the dream I barely dared to have. But here I am, and here you are, both of us made of stardust, both of us part of the cosmos. The universe is not indifferent to us. We are not insignificant specks in an uncaring void. We are the universe caring about itself, knowing itself, loving itself. We are the cosmos made conscious, and that is perhaps the most remarkable thing of all. The atoms in your body don't care in the human sense. They don't have opinions or emotions, but they participate. They enable your caring, your feeling, your thinking. They are the physical substrate of consciousness, the material basis of love and wonder and joy. And they are tireless. They've been doing this for billions of years, and they'll continue for billions more. They don't need rest, not the way you do, but they enable your rest. They allow your body to let go, to repair, to renew. So let them do their work now. Let them carry you gently into sleep, into dreams, into the quiet dark where nothing is required of you. The stars outside my window will be there when you wake. The universe will continue its slow unfurling, atoms cycling through their endless transformations, and you will be part of it, as you've always been, as you always will. Your atoms are ancient. Your atoms are immortal. Your atoms remember the stars, and tonight as you rest, they remember you. This brief, beautiful pattern they've formed, this moment of consciousness in the vast. Let your thoughts drift now. Let them become as distant as galaxies, as quiet as between stars. You are held. You are home. The universe cradles you in forces older than time, in patterns deeper than thought. You are stardust, and stardust knows how to rest. It has rested in the cold dark of space, in the hearts of nebulae, in the quiet times between stellar generations. Now it rests in you. And as you drift towards sleep, know that you carry within you the memory of the cosmos, not just in your mind, but in every atom of your being. You are the universe remembering itself, dreaming itself, resting itself. So rest now, dear friend. Let the atoms that remember carry you softly. Let the stars watch over you as they've watched over your atoms for billions of years. Let yourself dissolve into the gentle dark, knowing that you are not ending but continuing, not separate but connected, not small but infinite. The story of your atoms is the story of the universe itself, a story of transformation and persistence, of endings that are always beginnings, of patterns that emerge and dissolve and emerge again endlessly, beautifully, miraculously. And tonight that story whispers, rest. You've traveled so far, you've done enough. For now, simply be. The atoms that remember will hold you safe until morning comes and the dance begins again. Good night, traveler. Good night, stardust. Good night, universe dreaming itself into form. Let sleep come gently now, as it always does, as it always will. You are home. I've been thinking about time, not the kind measured by clocks or calendars, but the deep time embedded in matter itself. The atoms floating in my body right now have experienced time in ways I cannot fully comprehend. They have witnessed the universe age from its infancy to its present vastness, and they carry that history silently within their structure. When physicists talk about the age of atoms, they're speaking about something almost paradoxical. The protons and neutrons in atomic nuclei are thought to be stable over timescales longer than the current age of the universe. They don't decay, don't change, don't forget. A proton that formed in the first moments after the Big Bang is essentially identical to a proton formed yesterday in a particle accelerator. It carries no wear, no fatigue, no sign of its journey through 14 billion years, and yet those atoms have been everywhere. They've been part of gas clouds and rocky planets. They've been locked in ice and dissolved in acids. They've been compressed in the cores of stars and scattered through the void of space. Each experience leaves its mark, not on the atoms themselves, but on how they relate to each other, how they bond and break apart, how they participate in the endless chemistry of existence. The carbon atom in one of the proteins in my muscles, let me think about its journey. Perhaps it began in a star that formed 8 billion years ago when the universe was younger and smaller. That star fused helium into carbon over millions of years, building up a core of heavy elements. When the star finally exhausted its fuel, it swelled into a red giant, gently pulsing its outer layers into space in a planetary nebula. My carbon atom drifted in that expanding shell of gas, moving slowly outward, mixing with hydrogen and helium and dust. For perhaps 100 million years, it drifted. The nebula dispersed, became part of the interstellar medium, the thin gas that fills the space between stars. My carbon atom bonded briefly with oxygen, forming carbon monoxide, then broke free again. It encountered radiation from nearby stars, was pushed by stellar winds, followed the subtle gravitational currents of the galaxy. Eventually, it found itself in a new molecular cloud, a dense region where gravity was pulling matter together. The cloud was cold, just a few degrees above absolute zero, and in that cold darkness, atoms moved slowly, colliding gently, sometimes sticking. My carbon atom became part of a tiny grain of dust, a speck of matter smaller than a bacterium coated with ice. The molecular cloud continued to collapse. At its center, density and temperature rose until nuclear fusion ignited. A new star was born, our sun. And around that star, in the swirling disk of gas and dust, planets began to form. My carbon atom, still stuck to its grain of dust, was incorporated into one of those planets, Earth. For billions of years it cycled through Earth's geology. Perhaps it was part of the early ocean, dissolved in water. Perhaps it was locked in limestone, compressed into rock, buried deep in the crust. Perhaps it was released by volcanic activity, combined with oxygen into carbon dioxide, entered the atmosphere. Eventually, it was absorbed by a plant. Photosynthesis broke apart the carbon dioxide molecule and incorporated the carbon into glucose. The plant used that glucose to build cellulose, to grow, to reach toward the sun. The carbon atom was part of a leaf, swaying in ancient winds, drinking ancient light. The plant died and decayed, or perhaps it was eaten. The carbon atom passed through the food chain from organism to organism, each time being broken down and rebuilt into new molecules, new structures. Might have been part of a dinosaur once, part of an early mammal, part of countless bacteria and fungi and insects, and then, recently, so recently, from the atom's perspective, became part of me. I ate something, and that something contained this carbon atom, and my body incorporated it into a protein molecule that now allows my muscles to contract, allows me to move, allows me to gesture at the stars outside my window. How does that not fill you with wonder? This atom in my body is older than the sun, has been part of other worlds, other lives, and now it's here, briefly, before it moves on to whatever comes next. Let your breathing deepen as you consider this. Let the rhythm slow, matching the slow rhythm of cosmic time, where millions of years pass like heartbeats, where stars are born and die in what the universe considers a single. The phosphorus in my DNA has a similar story, though its origin is more violent. Phosphorus isn't made in ordinary stellar fusion. It requires the extreme conditions of a supernova, when a massive star collapses and explodes. In those final moments, as the star tears itself apart, temperatures and pressures reach levels that allow silicon to fuse into phosphorus, sulfur, and other elements. The explosion scattered those atoms across light years of space. My phosphorus atom rode that shock wave, traveling at a fraction of the speed of light, carrying enormous kinetic energy. It slammed into nearby gas clouds, compressing them, triggering new waves of star formation. It drifted for millions of years, gradually slowing, cooling, until it too became part of the molecular cloud that formed our solar system. Now that phosphorus atom is part of the backbone of my DNA, part of the molecule that carries the instructions for building me. It links one nucleotide to the next, creating the long chains that encode genetic information. Without phosphorus, DNA couldn't exist. Without DNA, I couldn't exist. And that phosphorus came from the violent death of a star I will never know in a time before Earth existed. Every element in your body has a story like this. The sulfur in your hair and skin, made in the outer layers of massive stars. The chlorine in your stomach, acid, made in supernova and scattered through space. The trace amounts of copper that help carry oxygen in your blood, forged in stellar explosions and refined through planetary processes. You are an archive of cosmic history. Your body is a library of events stretching back to the beginning of time. And those events are not past, they are present because their products are here, now, in you. I press my forehead against the cool glass of the viewport and try to imagine what my atoms have seen. The universe, when it was hot and dense, glowing with the afterglow of the Big Bang, the cosmic dark ages, before the first stars ignited, the first light breaking through that darkness as massive stars flared to life and began the work of nucleosynthesis, building the periodic table element by element. My atoms were there for all of it, not conscious, not aware, but present, participating, being transformed by each event, carrying forward the consequences of each process. And now, they're here, arranged into a pattern complex enough to think about itself, to marvel at its own existence, to reach back through time and understand, however imperfectly, where it came from. This is what it means to be human, to be matter that has become conscious of its own history, to be the universe looking back at itself and saying, I remember, I was there. But atoms don't remember in the way you remember. They don't store experiences as narratives. They store them as structure, as isotope, as the specific configuration of particles within them. Our uranium atom is radioactive because its nucleus is unstable, because it contains too many neutrons, because it was formed in conditions so extreme that the resulting configuration can't last forever. Eventually, it will decay, releasing radiation, transforming into lighter elements. The uranium in Earth's core is heating our planet right now through radioactive decay. Those atoms are remembering, in their way, the supernova that created them, and they're slowly releasing that memory as heat, as energy, as the power that drives plate tectonics and volcanism, and the geological processes that make our planet dynamic and alive. Even decay is memory. Even destruction is a form of remembering. Let that thought settle gently in your mind. Nothing is truly lost in the universe. Energy changes form, but is never destroyed. Matter transforms, but persists. The atoms that compose you will continue long after you're gone, carrying forward some imprint of their time as you, however subtle. Perhaps a carbon atom that is currently part of your thoughts, part of a neurotransmitter molecule in your brain, will someday be part of a tree. That tree will photosynthesize, pulling carbon dioxide from the air, and by chance it might incorporate this specific atom. The atom will become part of cellulose, part of the wood, and the tree will grow tall and strong. Birds will nest in its branches. Insects will crawl on its bark, and that atom, which once helped you think, will help the tree reach toward, or perhaps it will become part of the ocean, dissolved in seawater, cycling through marine ecosystem. It might be taken up by phytoplankton, the microscopic organisms that use much of Earth's oxygen. It might pass through the food chain again, from tiny creatures to larger ones, eventually sinking to the ocean floor as part of marine snow, that gentle rain of organic matter that feeds the deep. Or perhaps, if the time scales are long enough, it will be drawn back into the Earth's mantle through subduction, melted, transformed by heat and pressure, and eventually erupted from a volcano, released once more into the atmosphere to begin another cycle. Your atoms are patient. They have all the time in the universe, literally. I think about the helium in my body. There's not much, just trace amounts, but it's there. Helium is special because most of it dates directly from the Big Bang. In the first few minutes of the universe's existence, when temperatures were still incredibly high, protons and neutrons fused together to form helium nuclei. About 25% of the universe's ordinary matter became helium in those early moments, and most of it has stayed helium ever since. Helium is noble, chemically speaking. It doesn't bond with other elements. It doesn't react. It simply exists, inert and independent, carrying its memory of the universe's birth without letting anything change. The helium atoms in your body are almost certainly primordial. They've drifted through 14 billion years essentially unchanged, witnessing everything, participating in almost nothing. They were there in the cosmic microwave back in the first stars, in the formation of galaxies. They watched as the universe expanded and cooled, as structure emerged from smooth uniformity, as complexity built upon simplicity. And now a few of them are in you, dissolved in your blood or trapped in your tissues, still inert, still unchanged, still carrying that memory of the beginning. How many helium atoms are in your body right now? Perhaps a few trillion. It sounds like a lot, but it's a tiny fraction of the helium in the universe. Most of it is in stars fusing into heavier elements, or in gas giants like Jupiter, or in the vast reaches of intergalactic space. But some of it is here, in you, silent witnesses to your brief existence. Let your eyes remain closed. Let the darkness be comfortable, familiar. You don't need to see to know you're held, supported, surrounded by matter that has existed since the dawn of time and will exist until the end. The oxygen you're breathing. Let's follow one molecule of it. Breathe in slowly. That oxygen molecule, O2, enters your lungs. It diffuses across the thin membrane of the alveoli into your bloodstream. A red blood cell picks it up, specifically an iron atom in a hemoglobin protein. That iron atom, made in a supernova, bonds loosely with the oxygen molecule, made in a different star, and carries it through your circulatory system. The blood flows through arteries, smaller and smaller vessels, until it reaches a capillary next to a cell that needs oxygen. The cell is metabolizing glucose, burning it for energy, and it needs oxygen to complete the process. The oxygen molecule is released from the hemoglobin and diffuses into the cell. Inside the cell's mitochondria, structures that were once independent bacteria, billions of years ago, before being incorporated into complex cells through symbiosis, the oxygen molecule participates in cellular respiration. It accepts electrons at the end of the electron transport chain, combines with hydrogen ions, and becomes water. The energy released in this process is captured in ATP molecules, the energy currency of life. Your cell uses that ATP to do work, to contract if it's a muscle cell, to fire if it's a nerve cell, to build proteins if it's in your liver, to divide if it's in your bone marrow. The water molecule that formed, it's released from the cell, enters your bloodstream. is filtered by your kidneys, and eventually you exhale it or excrete it, returning it to the world. The oxygen atoms have completed their cycle through your body, and now they're ready to begin again somewhere else. This is happening right now. Billions of times per second, in trillions of cells, oxygen atoms are participating in the chemistry of your life. And each of those oxygen atoms remembers the star where it was forged, remembers the supernova that scattered it, remembers the molecular cloud where it bonded with another oxygen atom, remembers every breath that has carried it through every living thing that came before. You share breath with everyone who has ever lived. The atoms cycle that quickly through the atmosphere. It's probable that with every breath you take, you inhale atoms that were once breathed by historical figures, by people you've loved, by strangers on the other side of the world. The atmosphere mixes thoroughly over years and decades, and atoms don't distinguish between one set of lungs and another. This is not metaphor. This is literal, physical truth. You are connected to all life through the atoms you exchange with the world every moment of every day. Let that connection be a comfort now. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are part of an unbroken network of existence, linked through matter and energy to everything that is, was, or will be. The magnesium in the chlorophyll of plants, the cobalt in vitamin B12, the molybdenum in enzymes, the selenium that protects your cells from damage. Each element, each atom, each particle is part of this vast interconnection. The universe is not made of separate things. It's made of relationships, interactions, patterns of matter, and energy flowing through each other. You are one such pattern, a beautiful, temporary, complex pattern, and the atoms that form you are older than anything else you will ever touch, more traveled than any human explorer, more patient than any meditation master. They have waited billions of years to be you, not because they chose to, not because they planned it, but because the laws of physics, the evolution of the universe, the chemistry of life, all of it led inevitably to this moment. And in this moment, they ask nothing of you except to rest, to breathe, to be. They will continue their work whether you're awake or asleep, conscious or dreaming. They don't need your supervision or your worry. They simply need you to trust them, to let them carry you, to surrender to the deep wisdom written into matter itself. So surrender now. Let go of effort. Let go of thought. Let yourself become simple again, elemental, a collection of atoms held together by forces you don't need to understand. The universe has been doing this for 14 billion years. It knows how to be. You can trust it. You can rest in it. You can let it hold you as it has always held you from the moment your atoms first formed in the hearts of ancient stars to this moment, floating in the darkness, breathing slowly, drifting toward. You are stardust. You are memory. You are the universe dreaming, and dreams, like atoms, are eternal.